know when we're in the horse's personal space? I'm in the horse's personal space when I can influence horse's behavior. So for each individual horse, like each individual human, that personal space bubble is totally different to what they've created for their own safety. Some it may be 10 feet away, some it may be 2 feet away, some it may be 20 feet away. But the way the horse reactions speak to us through their nonverbal communication, their body language, allows us to know, am I in that horse's personal space? Some other people call that personal space the flight zone. So if I can get that horse to move or react to me, give me the look of the ear, the eye, the body language, the sort of looking at me or paying attention to me, therefore we've come into that personal space. So personal space isn't always going to be an arm length. It always isn't going to be 2 inches, 3 feet, or it's all completely different on each individual horse. They'll let you know through their nonverbal communication, their body language, about if we're in that personal space. Some of the things the horse will do to let you know if you're in that personal space is right there. Silverado sort of looked at me to let me to. It's a cue that he knows that I'm here in his personal space. Some ways for the horse to communicate to us that they're okay with us being in their personal space. There's a lot of submission cues or acceptance cues that the horse will give us. Right now, Silver, sort of off camera, but his head's very low. You can hear perfect. His head's low. His head's relatively level to where my chest would be, but it's in a more calm, relaxed zone. His mouth is calm and relaxed. His eyes show a very soft, approachable eye. His muscle structure, he's not tense, he's very soft, he's very relaxed. If the head was up, if the eyes got a little more wide, like he was a little more anxious about me being in that space, he would show me those sort of cues. Right there, just a little bit before that, you saw a little bit of licking and chewing. Licking and chewing is a very good sign of a horse being okay and comfortable that you're around them. Right there, Jolene just moved behind. Silverado had to pick his head up, look over me, put his ear and his eye on Jolene to see what was back there. And if you notice that difference of head posture, that's him becoming a little more cautious about what's happening. When a horse is a little more anxious about what their surroundings are, their head usually raises, they get a little more tense in the way that they're focusing on things. If you think about like a deer in a pasture, right? Or a deer in a field, if that deer is out there grazing, its head's low, it's perfectly fine, it's just there. If you've ever had the opportunity to see that deer just pop its head up, its tail flips up and it starts looking around and its head's real high, that deer is a little bit more wary of what's going around. Same sort of thing with a horse. They're both prey animals. So when that horse's head comes up and looks around, it's starting to just take more in of their surroundings to just refocus on what they're looking at and see if they're okay with it. But some of the nonverbal cues, again, just to recap, are this sort of behavior. His head's low, relaxed ears, relaxed eyes, relaxed muscles. He's very calm in allowing the fact that we're in his personal space. So say we were going to approach the horse, and I approach the horse and I'm not getting those correct nonverbal body language communication that he gives me, I need to reassess the way that I'm approaching that horse before I just walk into its space. Because what I don't want this horse to believe is that I'm sort of a threat. I want the horse to have this sort of calm demeanor and calm composure or disposition about himself to allow me to come into his personal space. Because again, it's a partnership. Through our communication and our leadership, everything just comes into this partnership. I want him to understand that I'm here to be his friend, I'm here to help him, and we're here to do this together. I don't want him to be fearful of me. So if I was to walk up to Silverado, I'll try to get a reaction on him. If I walk up, and he really doesn't care too much, because he's a really good horse, but if I walk up to him and I try to see how his head just slightly came up, he's sort of interested in what I'm doing, I would want to reassess how I'm coming up. If I come up all excited, he might do something about it. Right there. I don't know if I came up very excited to him. He sort of head shied a little bit. His head moved away. His head raised up. He was sort of, what is going on with that person? That's not a really correct way to approach because he was very cautious about the way that I was approaching. I would want to reassess the way that I'm approaching there get a little more confident and a little more correct in the way that I'm coming up to him, and a little more relaxed in the way I'm coming up to him, because I don't want him to be fearful of me. I don't want him to think that I'm any sort of threat to him. So he's looking at me right now. He was paying attention to me walking backwards, and if I just walk up in a confident manner, he's very more, all of these nonverbal communication parts that we just discussed are all sort of in line for him to allow me to approach him. You do not approach a horse if you do not see these nonverbal communication behaviors from the horse. You do not want to put him or yourself into a spot to where this horse thinks you are a threat, and he may think that he has to do something. Run away is primarily what they do, being flight animals. You don't want him to run away from you because, again, you're trying to bond with this horse in a partnership. And that's basically what everything you need to do in the first steps of communication with the horse. It's all about your energy. It's about how you are projecting yourself. It's not about how you physically are as much as how you are emotionally as you go to the horse.
Their eyes are very expressive. And as Silver was falling asleep, as Gary's here talking to them, one of the ways that Gary approached him, Silver's eye just opened up. And so their eyes are a huge telltale of what's going on around them. And so then some other communications of showing that they're either okay or not okay with something, or maybe not ready for something, would be their tail. So with their tail, especially if we're on them and we're trying to ask them something new, or if there's a horse coming around them that they are not a fan of, their tail, just like a cat, will move around. So right now his tail is propped up. I was scratching him back here earlier, which he really liked. And so with their tail, especially in bug season, they're always going to be moving it around. It's a very relaxed movement. Now, if there's something that he really was not okay with yet, it would be more of a whipping, and you would be able to hear it. So their tails are very strong. You don't want to be hit with these. And so you would hear him whipping it around to say, I'm not quite ready for what you're about to do, or the horse around me, or just something in his situation. And to show that he's okay with you back here, now his tail is tucked. My hand is here. We're talking about different ways to go around him. So his body language to say that he's okay with me being back here, even though I can't see his eyes right now, and you folks can. There's now both ears on me. There was one ear. His tail is tucked. His body is relaxed. And so that is to show he's okay with me being back here, and if I needed to step around him, he's ready for that. Now, in today's video, we can get a little more of his legs going on. So if you see this diagonal leg back here, that's propped forward and relaxed. Sometimes they pick it up and they just rest it on their toes. That's another, if I'm relaxed, I'm leaning against a wall, I have a leg out. That's all it is. They are relaxed, ready to just fall asleep. If they have a leg picked up and their body language is soft, that's all it is. If we have Smokey out here, who is a horse that we'll have out at another time, we've only had him for 2 years, so we're still working with some of his sensories. And if we start to brush back here where some mud will get caked, he will prop his leg up, but his whole body will change in how he is speaking to us. And so there's a few cues that you really need to learn how to speak with them and approach them. But in every sense of their body, they're telling you, communicating with you, and saying that they're ready for this next thing, or you still need to work on how you're going up to them now.